If your keys are messy, important things break. Databases will not unlock, older encryptors cannot read old files, and audit checks fail. In the next few minutes, I will show you three things in one flow: what a key is, where keys live in Azure, and how to keep keys healthy over time. You will finish with a clear rule of thumb for which key type to choose, which store to place it in, and why. We will focus on keys section of Azure Key Vault. We will talk about Azure Key Vault Managed Hardware Security Module, also known as Managed HSM, but we will not provision one because that's a dedicated, higher cost service aimed at high value or regulated scenarios. Future videos in this series will also show end-to-end demos with customer managed keys in services such as storage and SQL. Today is just a foundation so we can better comprehend exactly what keys are in Azure Key Vaults. A key is a very large number used to unlock and lock data. There are two types. One key, which is also known as a symmetric key. The same secret locks and unlocks the data. Picture one house key that both locks and unlocks the door, right? So the second type is the two key, which is an asymmetric key. A public key locks and a private key unlocks. Picture a suggestion box where anyone can drop a note in it, but you, the owner, are the only one that can open with a private key those suggestions that were dropped in there. Azure represents keys using a standard format called JavaScript Object Notation Web Key, also known as JWK. Keys have versions and a small set of allowed operations such as sign, verify, encrypt, decrypt, wrap, unwrap. You only always enable what you need, nothing more, nothing less. Moving to a more exemplified way of explaining this, you sign software releases with a two key pair. The build system signs with the private key, and customers verify the signature with the public key. That's one example. The second example is you encrypt files with a one key data key, and then you protect that data key with a key encryption key stored in the key vault. The app never handles raw key material directly. Key vault does the heavy lifting. Azure really gives you two related places in order for you to store the keys. The first one is the key vault, also known as vaults. This is a general purpose service. A standard vault keeps software protected keys. A premium vault also supports hardware secure module, HSM, protected keys for reversed Shamir Edelman, also known as RSA, and elliptic curve keys, and is now created on a modern platform that validates to Federal Information Processing Standards 140-3 Level 3, also known as FIPS 140-3 L3, for new key versions. The second option is managed HSM pools, also known as managed key vault or HSM, right? This is a single tenant dedicated cluster of hardware security modules for your organization. It always uses FIPS 140-3 Level 3 hardware, supports RSA, elliptic curve, and symmetric advanced encryption standard, also known as AES keys and modes, and can be configured to replicate across two regions, so both regions serve requests. We will not create one today, we will only describe this type of key vault. A simple rule of thumb is the following. Start the key vault standard for everyday apps that do not require hardware backing. Move to Key Vault Premium when you need hardware-backed keys or secure key releases to confidential compute. Or choose Managed HSM when you handle high-value or regulated keys that need symmetric EAS keys, dedicated tenancy, or built-into region replication. Now we will move to an example. In this scenario, I have provisioned a simple key vault with an SKU pricing tier of premium, as you can see here. The three components of a key vault, or better known objects, are keys, secrets, and certificates. If you don't know what secrets and certificates do, please reference my other two videos because I have treated each and every one of them individually. Today we are going to focus on the keys. For this demonstration, I have generated a key right here, and this key already has two versions, but only one is active currently. The activation date of the first key started on the 23rd of October 2025, and it will be valid up until 30th of October 2026. I have rotated this manually because you also have this option, and this key will be ready, and I can set an activation date as soon as I want this key to be active, right? So as I mentioned, this is a premium key vault. So if we want to generate a new key, we have multiple options here. Because this is a premium key vault, you have the option to generate a key encryption key for importing HSM protected keys. HSM protected keys means that you also have the option to have these keys protected like you would have in a managed HSM with a dedicated hardware module. You also have the option to import or restore from backup. Just be careful when we are talking about restoring from backup, you have to have a couple of conditions to be met. One of the conditions are the following. You need to have the key restored in a key vault which is in the same subscription as your original generation point, but you also need to have the key vault, the destination key vault, in the same geographic region as your source key vault. Those are two mandatory things that you need to take into account whenever you want to backup or restore a key. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you the generation of a key vault. We are going to pick a name, test for video. We are going to check here the option of RSA or elliptic curve. As you can see, you also have the RSA-HSM and elliptic curve-HSM. Basically, you have the option to select generate here and generate any of them. But if you want to generate this one, as you will see, you only have the option of RSA-HSM, right? So moving back to this one, you also have the RSA key size. By default, 2048 is more than enough for most common scenarios. So we'll pick that. We are going to move now to the activation date and the expiration date. These are very important because some of the rotation policies that we can set up right here in order for the key to auto rotate are dependent on the activation and the expiration date. As an example, I am not going to configure any activation or expiration date, but I will want to set up a policy on this. So let's say that this is the minimum days. We are going to enable auto rotate. And as you can see here, you have the option to automatically renew at a given time after the creation of the key. But you also have the option to do automatically renew at a given time before expiring. This really is grayed out because, as I said before, we do not have an expiration date. Once I select the expiration date right here, is we are going to enable yes, and right here, so we are going to pick this one, automatically renew at a given time before expiry. I'm going to select here rotation time in, I don't know, 18 days, and the value cannot be greater than 21 days right here. This is basically the notification at a given time before expiry. I'm going to select OK. And right now, because I have configured everything, I'm just going to hit create. This will create the key vault. It does have an expiration date. And because of this, it will automatically rotate because this policy is applied at the key level. I have configured it right here. Say you get hacked or your keys got compromised. You also have the option to rotate this key as soon as possible. So whenever you want to rotate this key, all you have to do is pick the key, go to the rotation policy and just hit rotate now. So as you can see, we have enabled the rotation policy. We have the permitted operations, which is encrypt, decrypt, sign, verify, wrap key, and unwrap key. So this key is ready to be used in a production environment. Mind you that you need to properly configure the rotation policy. You can find more details on the official Azure page on this, on how to properly configure them. I'm just showing you exactly what do you need to do in order for this to properly work. Let's talk a bit about the key life cycle because this is very important. You have a couple of options in order to manage your key and your key vault. First one is to create or import. As I mentioned before, you can generate a key inside of the service or import one from your own hardware module, which is also often called as a process, bring your own key, BYOK. You also have the option to version the key. As you seen before, I hit the rotate option, which means the each rotation becomes a new version. All versions remain available for reading all data. So if you use the old version to encrypt some data, encryption at rest that's being used in Azure SQL databases or storage accounts, you will still be able to use the expired or the old version of the key to unlock the data that's been encrypted, right? You also have the option to select the rotation policy. As I said, rotate automatically. In Key Vault, you can set a rotation policy so a new version is created on a schedule. The guidance is to rotate encryption keys at least every 2 years. That's currently of this time of the recording. In terms of backup and restore, a vault can backup and restore individual objects. Managed HSM can backup the entire pool and also do selective key restore. These backups are locked by the pool security domain, so only your quorum of administrators can restore. You should always enable soft delete and purge protection so accidental or malicious deletes do not destroy keys permanently during the retention period. Many Azure services even require purge protection when you use customer managed keys. Every key version has a start date and an end date, as I've shown you before, right? The start date is the earliest time the key can be used. The end date is when the key stops being used for new work. Here is the helpful exception. Even after the end date, Azure still allows reading style operations with that version. This is decrypt, unwrap, verify, and release. So you can open or check things that were created earlier. Azure blocks writing style operations such as encrypt, wrap, or sign, so nothing new is created with an out of service version. This is why archives from 2 years ago still open, while new files must use the latest version. Uh, in terms of analogy, think about like this: an expired library card lets you return books you already borrowed, but you cannot borrow new ones until you renew the card, right? So it's still you, but you just need to renew your card that you're going to use. Let's talk about two ways you will actually use keys, basically. First way is your application code. Your code can call the cryptography client in the Azure software development kits to do sign, verify, encrypt, decrypt, wrap, and unwrap, as always. I'm not going to mention them again, but you got the point. When the client has the material key, it works locally. When it does not, the service platforms the operation. This is the right path when your code must control every operation. Now, the second way you will actually use your keys is inside Azure services, also called customer managed keys. Some Azure services use your vault stored key to protect their own encryptors. Azure Storage can use your key directly or through encryption scopes if you want per container or per object boundaries. If you revoke the key, the protected data becomes unreadable until access is restored. Azure SQL Transparent Data encryption can use your keys at the server or at the database level. This gives clean separation of duties. The database team manages the data, the security team manages the key. Why this matters? You decide rotation timing, you can revoke to perform a crypto erase, and you can audit key use centrally. In terms of access and authorization, we need to talk about Azure role-based access control for the data plane over older access policies. You basically have two big options in Azure Key Vaults, role-based access control or the access policies. You always will use the least privilege access, regardless of the method you choose. Common roles you will use in role-based access control is Key Vault crypto user for doing cryptographic operations, or Key Vault crypto service encryption user for services like storage that must wrap and unwrap but must not change or delete the key. This keeps powers tightly scoped and aligns with current guidance. One concrete line you can use for storage with customer managed key, give the storage account's managed identity to the Key Vault crypto service encryption user role on the vault. This lets the service wrap and unwrap but not alter the key. Secure key release. Let's talk a bit about secure key release. This lets a vault or a managed hardware security module hand a hardware-backed key only to a machine that proves that it is running trusted code inside confidential compute. You attach a release policy that lists expected claims from Microsoft Azure Attestation. If this if the claims do not match, the key does not leave. This limits who can ever hold a decryptor, even inside your own environment. We are not building this today, but this is worth noting or knowing that this option exists. Now, in terms of looking at other competitors in the market and seeing what they are doing, we are going to look at Amazon Web Services Key Management Service. It's a shared hardware by default, supports symmetric and asymmetric keys, and key hashed message authentication code. Supports multi-region keys and offers a dedicated hardware through Cloud HSM. Google also offers this type of service. It's a software protected key or Cloud HSM for hardware protected keys. Automatic rotation is not available for asymmetric keys, which is a small but important difference. Let's do a bit of inventory around checklists and what. In terms of checklists, you have a couple of things that you need to verify always on each key vault and each key just to be sure that you are compliant and also making sure that you are not getting in trouble for losing data or locking up data. First and foremost, you need to turn on soft delete and purge protection on every vault. This prevents permanent loss during the retention windows. Many integrators actually require this. Set rotation policies and wire alerts for your key encryption keys. Auto-versioning reduces the risk, and alerts usually catch the drift. For customer managed keys in services, grant the services managed identity a data plane role such as Key Vault Crypto Service Encryption User, but do not give full access or owner access. This is very important just to be sure that not even Microsoft, if their managed identity gets compromised, do not have the option to alter your key. If you do choose managed HSM later, either enable multi-region replication for active-active protection or practice a backup and restore with your security domain and quorum keys. Do a dry run once before you need it. You also should be doing this on a regular cadence just to be sure that you're adhering to best practices and ensuring that in case of an audit, you have the proof required to show that you are doing your due diligence in terms of resiliency. With this in mind, you now have a clean mental picture what a key is, where it should live, how its life unfolds. For most apps, start with a standard key vault, move to premium when you need hardware backing or secure key release, and consider managed HSM only when the keys are high value, regulated, or must be symmetric hardware keys in a dedicated boundary. In the follow-up videos, we will show a step-by-step demo on how to use the customer managed keys on a storage with encryption scopes, customer managed transparent data encryption for SQL, and maybe we will also do a narrative or a diagram look at how the secure key release works and attestation. This was Nikolai. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please share, subscribe, and let me know what are your thoughts. If you think I need to cover more details, leave a comment. Let's have a discussion on how are you managing your keys in your Key Vault.